Hey guys, Chandler Barber back at it again. Today I want to do a video kind of giving an overview of how I got into barbering in the first place. I really love the power of stories and would like to do more, of this type of dialogue with different videos in my channel, in the future. But I kind of wanted to lay this out, maybe to be a help to some people, because I know for me, when I hear other people's stories and how they got into certain things, or kind of where they came from, sometimes it's a comfort if I can relate in a way to someone else, and kind of seeing the path that they took and things, and maybe you can learn from that. So for me, how I got into barbering, I'll give you a quick recap of my kind of upbringing and my life up until the point that I decided to do barbering. So maybe that context will help a little bit. But my name is Chandler Wood. I grew up in Jackson, Mississippi, or right outside of Jackson, Mississippi. Grew up. I had divorced parents. I have great relationships with both my parents even to this day. It definitely could have been a far worse situation, so I was very thankful that despite the fact that I grew up in that context, that for the most part, it was not that bad. Thankfully, I had a brother, and he's 2 years older than me. His name's Cameron, and our whole life we wanted to be musicians. That was our dream from a very young age. The Lord just really opened that world to us at an early age, and we just loved it. Loved anything that had anything to do with instruments, songwriting, and so we really strived to do that. And my whole upbringing, I don't remember a time that was not what I was, striving toward. And we just did everything together, my brother and I think that's what really helped me, just living in the context of divorced parents, and we had each other, my brother and I think that was just such a blessing from the Lord. And so we had the same interest. We loved music, we loved anything creative, and so we always were creating things. We always were trying to make something new, and whether that was writing songs or even creating our own fake, toy theme park in our kitchen. We just like to build something from nothing. And so, fast forward, growing up, we did music. We ended up getting in some bands over time, and had some success with that. And I was doing that a good bit up until 2020, where my transition started to happen with becoming a barber. But a little bit before that, so my brother got married in 2012. That was a big pivotal moment in my life, because up until that point I had done everything with my brother, and so the fact that he was getting married, was not going to be living in the same house that I was, I knew that was going to change a good bit in that dynamic. But we still, in that time remained really close. We continued to do music, continued to write songs, write music, and to travel when we could, when we got shows or opportunities. But during that time when he got married, he was at a moment in his life where he had to figure out what he was wanting to do to provide. And so he and I just as always, doing everything together, we decided to start a company that was like a multimedia company where, you know, we would do film, graphic design, things of that nature. Well, through that, it ended up really mainly becoming a wedding videography company. Just kind of blew up because of word of mouth. Once we did one wedding, it led to more, and so we kind of just dropped the other multimedia from it, and it just mainly became a videography company that mostly did weddings. Well, at that time, it wasn't at the point where it could support us both, so Cameron, you know, mainly lived off of it, my brother Cameron. And I got some jobs doing graphic design at a print shop. Well, I ended up working at 2 print shops, but I was dabbling in graphic design, and so I was doing that. When 2015 came around, I ended up coming on full time with the wedding videography. We started to have enough jobs that ended up, you know, being able to support me. I'm still single at this point. We're still doing music, semi, you know, full time, but mostly just whenever our schedules could allow. We were in the group we were in at that time that we had started in around 2013 was called Seeker and Servant, and it ended up being the musical project that really, you know, allowed us a lot of opportunities and was such a blessing to be a part of. I ended up starting talking to a girl who became my wife in 2016, and I get married in 2017, all the while still doing wedding videography, and we're still doing the music. Well, as life is, you know, I feel like you come to points in time in your life where you kind of hit a roadblock, and I think that around the pandemic or close after that, my brother and I were starting to talk about what the future looks like. Are we going to do wedding videography forever, you know? And for one, you know, it wasn't necessarily my passion to do video, even though I loved it. But doing weddings, you know, every weekend can really become super draining. And so by the time, I forgot to mention, by the time that I got married, so my brother got married in 2012. He, at that point, when I got married, already had 3 kids. And then when I got married, we got pregnant shortly after I got married and had a kid a year later. And I think that around the time that we started having this conversation about what are we going to be doing with our lives, I had 2 kids at that point, so this is probably so I think it is 2020 that we were talking about this. For some reason, I started to really uncover this desire that I think I'd always had, or had for a while, of really wanting to explore the barbering. And when the pandemic hit, some people knew that I cut my own hair, and I forgot to mention that, but in 2013 I bought my own hair kit from Walmart, or I can't remember, and I started to try to cut my own hair because barbershops around here didn't really do it the way that I particularly cared for. And so I started cutting my own hair. I was really into pomade at that point, like just really loved pompadours and trying to create that old school style. And So by the time, you know, the pandemic happened, some of my close friends knew that I cut my own hair, and since the barbershops were closed at that point, some of them started to ask me if I would cut their hair. And I was like, sure. You know, I always loved the idea of being able to cut other people's hair, but just didn't really think about it because I didn't really think that I could become a barber, you know. And so at this point in my life, you know, I was gonna go cut their hair and stuff, but I still didn't think that because, well, one, now I have 2 kids at this point. I'm married, and in the state of Mississippi, you have to do 1,500 hours of schooling to get your barber's license. So we didn't have an apprenticeship type thing, and I just thought, well, you know, I can't take a year to do school to do that. But the more that I started to cut some of my friends during that time, that thought kind of kept coming in my mind of like, what if this is what I should be doing, you know? Could really invest in this. Like, I really, like, this is a passion for me. I really, really love cutting hair and just love the whole world of it. I love hair products. I love, you know, the equipment, and just really just this kind of aspect of like of this old school tradition, you know. And I think that's what really drew me to barbering in the first place, was just I just loved kind of this old traditional career that can change people, that makes people feel good, and I can have a part in someone else's appearance. Like, I don't know, there's just something about it that really was just kind of weighing on my mind. And I eventually called Cameron one day, and I can't remember the exact time, but it would be in that 2020, you know, time period, and just told him, like, I want to stop doing wedding videos, and I'm gonna pursue this barbering thing. And that really, I really need to add that really kind of came from the fact that my wife was so supportive when I told her, like, I really would, you know, I wonder what it would look like to do barbering. And, you know, she's so supportive, you know, she's so supportive of me and things she knows I'm passionate about. She had always been supportive of the music. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna make this decision. So I decided to do that, and this was all by God's grace. But I was able to continue to do wedding films and still do the schooling, because I would do the wedding films on Saturdays and I did the schooling during the week. And it was a really hard year. That was 2021 when I started that, and that was a really hard year for me. Had a lot of early mornings and late nights of editing, and all the while balancing being a parent and a husband. But I got to the other end of it, and so yeah, I'm kind of where I'm at now. I'm running my own personal private barbershop. Graduated from the school in February of this year, 2022, and have been doing the barbering. I still do some wedding videos as needed because my brother is still doing that. We stopped doing music in around 2020 when just all this life change was happening. It was hard to really keep it going because it's very hard to make it as an independent artist nowadays. I still enjoy playing music with my church, and I hope to get back to writing some music with my brother again in the future. But for now, I'm really investing myself into this barber career, and I really do love it. Like, when I come to work, it's exciting. It doesn't feel like work all the time. Like there are days that do, but I'm always just exploring new ways to get better, and I feel like it's just always a challenge and always something that I'm excited to do. And I think that's important, you know, in not all scenarios, but I think it's important for a lot of people to be able to really enjoy what they do. And if you really enjoy what you do, it makes you motivated and pushes you to become better, and ultimately I think it most of the time works out, you know. So my goal right now is to be where I'm at for a year. Next year I plan to move into a shop that's in the Jackson, Mississippi area with this barber guy that I've been working with, or this other barber that I've been cutting his hair, and he's starting this spot, and that's kind of where I feel like is my next step. I don't know what the next 5 years looks like, you know. I'm just kind of along for the ride. I have 3 kids now, and you know, my beautiful wife, and just got a dog actually. Yeah, I guess that's kind of an overview of how I got into barbering, and I would love to know your story, how you got into barbering. It doesn't have to be a long thing, but maybe just like a couple of sentences or a paragraph in the comment section below if you're into barbering, or if you found this kind of dialogue helpful. I'd enjoy to do more of this kind of stuff. But yeah, that's a real quick overview. A lot more could obviously be said, but the most important thing that I think to take away from this is just trusting in the Lord. I'm a Christian, and without God, I would be completely lost. Like, the Lord has brought me to where I'm at today, and I see His hand in what I'm doing now, and being able to use this platform for not just to build up a business, but really to exalt the Lord and to glorify Him. And I think that that's what I would take away from this. It's just that I don't know what tomorrow looks like. There's so much change that has happened in my life, but the constant is Christ, and He is who I trust. And I don't have to worry about the next 5 years. I don't have to worry about tomorrow. I'm just looking forward to the next head I get to cut, and trusting the Lord that can continue if that's His will. So thank you guys for checking this video out. If you've checked out my channel, thank you. I really appreciate it. I hope to get this channel off the ground even more and to be able to do more with it. But that's just a little bit about myself, and yeah, I really appreciate you guys, and until next time, keep it pumping.